Hi, I'm Nancy. Welcome to Mindful Yoga. Today I'm doing a gentle version with modifications of a yoga class that centers around the theme of river. And this is river in various ways. For one, it's the river of connective tissue throughout our body, a continuous web that is interconnected throughout every little bit of our body, surrounding muscles and bones and little fibers, as well as organs. At the same time, we're thinking about a river in the way that Kathleen Dean Moore talks about it, as a river that is moldable in relationship to the climate. And little obstacles that we put up can turn the river and make a difference. And that's the way with our connective tissues too. Because as we make little differences over weeks, over months, over years, we begin to make a difference in the whole structure of the river of our bodies. So let's have a seat where we can be touching the earth. You might be in a chair and your feet more or less flat on the ground, or you might be nearer the ground. Either one is fine. I'm going to be offering quite a few modifications during this time. So having a chair near or just a table, something to lean on in certain postures will be good for this gentle practice. Bring your attention to your breath, soften the gaze. Breathe fully as the breath comes down into the nose, throat, into the lungs, unhinging the backbone so that there's no sharp hinges at the lower waist or up around the bottom or top of the neck, bringing the chin in just slightly, a 1/4 inch. Lifting up, knitting together. Inhaling broadly in the bottom of the ribs, the sides and the backs, letting the air flowing as the diaphragm expands, and then expanding up under the armpits into the upper lungs. Allowing that full expansion to take place. And then a soft, long exhale. On the exhale, use the muscles here along the ribs to dive down to the pelvic floor and knit in the lower front ribs a bit. At the same time, on the exhale, shoulder blades in the back rest down. A slight squeezing in of the shoulder blades at the same time as letting those front ribs come down. Aligning, realigning our connective tissue so that our very structure can be realigned. Like a river, we change the form in order to make more space for flow. 2 more big breaths here with the knitting together of the exhale. Letting the inhale be big and the exhale long. And then come back to your regular breathing. If there's anything high underneath you now, you can take it out from under you. You might still be sitting in a chair, and that's fine for this part. We're going to do some side bends. We'll start with a very generous side bend, bringing the hand out along the mat. Then you might be letting your arm dangle down over the side of the chair if you're in a chair. Kathleen Dean Moore writes, "I had been in despair. The planet is caught up in a river rushing towards a hot, stormy, and dangerous future. But I get it now. We don't have to stop the river. We just have to jam it up all over the place." One more time on each side. And then we're going to change a little bit. Bring a hand and plant it down beside you. If you're on the chair, plant it on the side of the chair. Inhale the other arm up, 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 and then dangle that arm over. So you have a more intense lateral connective tissue stretch from just the waist up through the armpit and the arm. Reach up and over. Her friend Gordon, who's a geomorphologist, says, a fast, high-energy river will carry particles, but when it loses energy and slows, the river drops what it carries, creating obstacles that force it to flow in a different way. Coming back through center, bring one hand a bit back behind you on the chair, on the floor, other arm reaches up, and there's a bit of a rotation here as the eyes go down, chin tucks a bit, and arm arches over the head, slowly from side to side, opening up a little bit of a different current in your river of connective tissue. It goes on, an island begins to form from these obstacles that the river brings forth when it slows down. And as the water curls around the obstacle, the current's own force turns it upstream. Come back through center, reach arms out to the side. Let the hands come up towards the wall on either side. Let the shoulder blades squeeze slightly together and down. Inhale, big through the lower ribs, and exhale, knit together, shoulder blades and lower front ribs. Around one small change, the energy reorganizes itself entirely. And bring the arms in. So this is true of a river that is imagined as the changing course of how we have a relationship with the earth. It's also true of our bodies and the connective tissue that is moldable. Everything can change in this connective tissue that is elastic and plastic, coming up the sides of our bodies, the fronts of our bodies, the backs of our bodies. Let's sit Dandasana. That means stack pose with your feet out in front of you. Ankles are flexed, knees are soft. And for a moment, bring your hands to a steering wheel as if you were driving a car. And at first, we'll just let it go around like this. And so here our arms are doing the work, right? Our shoulders. But maybe you get a little tired and you go over to one side, and maybe you're going in this way for a while and your arm reaches down here and rests, or the other side, and we're going this way for a while and we're just driving along and our neck is over and our body is curled over a little bit. So what I'm trying to show here is that we have habits that are comfortable for ourselves, and we tend to do them over and over again. And as they repeat, then perhaps this shoulder, the connective tissue thickens up here and thickens down here. So our connective tissue will adapt to what we do. Maybe our shoulders come forward a bit, and our connective tissue will adapt to that. And that's the way we feel good. We want to be that way. And the structure of the body, the bones and muscles also go along with that. What we would like to have is to realign a little bit, to let the body have space to breathe, to not load the lower back, and to just have a freedom of movement. Bring your arms up, palms meet, and come down midline. The metaphor with the river and the earth changing is not completely the same as the reading, in that we want our connective tissue to be a smooth flow. And ultimately, we want that for the river and the earth as well. But in the meantime, Kathleen Moore is making the point that little changes that pile up change the course of the river. And that is true in yoga as well. Little by little, doing it again and again changes the course of the river of our connective tissue. Let's bring one leg out a little bit diagonally. The other foot can come up along the thigh, or it might be along the calf, or it might be simply out. If you're in a chair, one leg can be bent and one leg can be out in front of you. Bring the chest to face the toes. Straighten or extend up, lift up from the sits bones up through the crown. Inhale up, hands are still on the leg. Exhale forward, bringing the chest in the direction of the toes, going from the base of the spine forward, just a few inches. Inhale up, exhale forward. The gentle ungluing of the connective tissue along the back line of the body. Where do you feel that? Through the hips, perhaps, up through the low back. And then coming up, turning a bit away from that extended leg, hand on the thigh, other arm reaches up, just to the extent that is comfortable for your shoulder. And that arm comes down, again, just to the place that is comfortable. Respecting your body and where it is right now, respecting the river of connective tissue, which will change gradually. Bring it down, and one more time, over, slightly turn, and arm comes up. It can come up farther and over, if that is part of your range of motion. And coming to the other side, turn towards the leg, run down the thigh a bit, hinging from the base of the spine and up and over. Not so important where the other leg is. And then turning, hand comes down the thigh, maybe over the knee to the shin. And other arm comes up, slight turn in the torso. Arm might stay straight up in the air, or it might come over, respecting that shoulder and all the experience that it has, opening it little by little. And once again, up, perhaps reaching up to the ceiling, or maybe coming over slightly. And rise back up. And now, whether you're in a chair or on the mat, we're going to bring our feet wide in front of us, hands behind us, and let the knees go back and forth. So if you're on a chair, you want to be on the edge of your chair and hands on the chair supporting you as knees swivel back and forth. Aware of connective tissue around the bones and each bone, each muscle of the hips. Actually, the connective tissue wraps every little fiber inside our muscles, as well as the muscles themselves. And coming round with the one arm and back to the back corner, letting the momentum of the arm let the body have a comfortable twist. And then we'll come into a static twist here. If you're on the chair, your hand might be up on the back of the chair. If you're on the mat, hands might be on the earth. You might come down onto a forearm or two forearms. See what works at this stage of your river. Inhale back up and come over, finding your place here. And lift back up. If you're on the mat, remove anything that's underneath you. Bring the legs out in front of you again if you're in the chair, extending the legs out. Bringing arms into cactus. Fingertips are up towards the ceiling. Bring the shoulder blades together just slightly and down. One breath, inhaling broad through the side and back ribs, up under the armpits, and then exhaling, bringing the front lower ribs, knitting them down, shoulder blades knitting down. Inhale up through the crown, exhale forward, knees are soft as you come forward. So this is an ungluing of the connective tissue in the back of your legs, But on the other hand, we don't want to do that too fast. So the knees need to bend in most cases in order to let that happen gradually. Particularly, we don't want to have too much strain at the top of the hamstrings as they connect to the glutes. Everything connected to each other and aware of that as we change. Bring the hands down. Now, if you're in a chair, we're going to lift the hips slightly. So bring yourself to the edge of the chair, hands on the chair behind. Bring the weight into the feet and the hands and raise the hips. So bringing them up slightly, beginning to bring a gentle ungluing to the connective tissue fibers along the front of the body. And if you're on the mat, you can be bringing up your hips, maybe swinging them back and forth a little bit, maybe bringing the hips all the way up. And if on chair or mat, you want to come to a static position at a higher point for a moment for 3, 2, and 1, and then bring it down. Now we're going to do up boat, and I'll show this in the chair first. Coming again to the edge of the chair, bringing the hands back and bringing the legs up. So I'm in this kind of a position. You might bring your hands behind your thighs. If that doesn't work, you can always have hands behind the thighs and picking up in this manner with one toe and then the other. If you are up, you might do the same, and this is true on the mat as well, or you might hold up. So we're on the mat. We're back on the soft tissue behind the sits bones. One leg comes up and then the other. And if it feels right for you, extending back a little bit through the backbone and bringing feet up, or maybe bringing one foot up for a while. Hands can also come out and bring it down. Now we're going to come into a lying position. So lying down on the mat. First, just let the body relax down. Imagine yourself as a river flowing easily, slowly through sun and shade. Easy and comfortable in this lying position. Then bringing some toning to the abs, we'll bring the knees bent above the hips. Hands come back so that they are fingers along the sides of the skull. Finding a comfortable place. If arms don't feel good here, they can stay down. And head could also stay down. So these are options here. Head might be down as one leg extends out and one knee comes up towards the chest. Always being a yogi who is sensitive to the body, the range of motion, the joints as they are right now. For 2 and 1. Let the head come back. Arms can be at the side, they can be out from the shoulders, or you might have your hands behind your head or behind your neck, opening through the tops of the shoulders a bit. Extend the legs up, open the legs, and then cross them in midline in an easy scissors stroke, horizontally back and forth. And this is a gentle stretching of the connective tissue, the river of webbing that goes down the outside of the legs from the hip to the IT band, down through the knee capsule, along the side of the calves, and slings around the foot, all connected with each other. Then let the legs come back together. Bend the knees. This time let arms come out from the shoulders horizontally, again, where shoulders can bear. Inhale and exhale as the knees go down halfway. So both knees together, bent, going halfway down, rolling across the sacrum, coming up through center and over to the other side. Back and forth slowly, enjoying that roll over the sacrum. And also feeling the load that it puts on the muscle that goes from the lower ribs down to the pelvis. It's called the quadratus lumborum. This is a good strengthening exercise for that inner abdominal muscle that gets rather weak as we sit in chairs. One more time to each side. Come back through middle. Let the feet come down just a couple inches below the buttocks. Arms come along the side. We're going to move into a moving bridge. Weight goes into the feet and the weight will come into the shoulders as the hips start to rise. Use the arms to hold the weight as well. Tighten the glutes so that you're giving some support for the hips as they rise. Then let the arms rise also, coming up towards the ceiling, going back just as far as is comfortable above the head. And on the exhale, coming back down, meeting the hips and coming down. Inhale up, the river of connective tissue in the front of the body, ungluing a bit, and the connective tissue up along the arms, both front and backs of the arms. Smoothing out and opening up the river one more time. Connective tissue is moldable, it is plastic, it is elastic. It's this that we feel in yoga, and it's this that we can change through yoga. Now let's lie on our sides for a moment. Bring a forearm underneath your shoulder for support. Let there be an easy V in your knees, bend in your knees. Bring the arm up, the top arm up. You might just keep it up here and turn the wrist. Or you might come back a little bit, but see what that shoulder bears. And then come around the opposite direction with the wrist. Then bring that hand down to the knee, the top knee. Bring the knee up towards the nose slightly, and then back down, slide the hand down the shin, and you might be on part of your clothes or your ankle, or maybe not even holding that, maybe the knee rests down, but somehow allowing the opening in this front line of connective tissue to flow open. Again, a continuous line from the quadriceps up across the pelvis, up along the ribs and the oblique muscles, up into the shoulder, and even up into the neck, and bring it back. And we'll do that 2 more times. Nose, knee coming towards each other, finding your place as you might have the foot or ankle pushing into the hand. See what works for you. And one more time. Kathy Moore writes, here's the point. No one pattern continues indefinitely. It always gives way to another. True for our work with the earth and true for our body. Come again into this sideline position, forearm under the shoulder on the other side. Open up, arm up, maybe back a little bit, turning the wrist. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and back around the opposite direction. As Kathy Moore writes, the channel flips and carves a new direction. And that's what we're doing in yoga. We're carving a new direction. Bring the hand to the knee, bring nose to knee, slide down that shin, bring the knee back. Good, allow the knee to rest down if you'd like, opening up along the front of the body. the arm might rest down, or it might be back with the foot coming into the hand. Once again, bringing knee to nose. Opening up the river of connective tissue up the front of the body. Continuous knee capsule to quad, up along the front of the body, the side of the body, up to the shoulder. Feel your neck a bit and how there is some connective tissue being affected in the neck and the skull as well. And bring that leg down. Now we're going to come into a tabletop position. For you to have something underneath your knees. And if knees are having problems, you can always do this on the back of the chair. So we're going to start with cat-cow. And that can be done here, holding onto the back of the chair, or it might be done on the mat. If you're on the mat, make sure your hands are broad. The weight coming down into the heels, the balls, and the fingers of the hands. Inhale, open the spine in the front of it, and then open the spine in the back of it. So inhale, stomach sinks, heart shines forward, tailbone rises, and the gaze doesn't need to come up. Keep that smooth line in the spine. Just let the spine be happy. Happy to have all the range of motion that it has, not asking more than it has, but taking advantage of every little bit of flow that the connective tissue that houses all of the vertebrae and wraps around the spine up to the brain allows. And coming back through center. Now we're going to bring weight into one hand, and we're going to bring the opposite arm out and the opposite leg. So my left arm and right leg are out. If you're on the chair, you can do this with opposite leg and arm reaching out. And we're just going to hold that there for a moment. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Realize you've been there for a moment. And then bring the other side, stretch. Feel that connective tissue. Be inside the body, feeling. Where are you feeling the ungluing of your connective tissue? From fingertips to elbow, to shoulder, to hip, to knee, to toe. All one long river of connective tissue. I'm just going back and forth a few times. One more time on each side. And come back through center. Now we're going to extend one leg out. Wait, first we're going to bring it up, sorry. Bring it up in like a hydrant, bring it towards the elbow. We're going to reach it back, bring it over, and we're going to come over to the big toe side, tap down, then turn, come to the pinky side, tap down, and come back. And up towards the elbow. And you're in the chair, same thing. Elbow comes up. And then as you reach back, you might just turn the foot towards the big toe side and the pinky toe side, and then come up. You can also come down onto the earth behind you if you wish. So either way. One more time. As the knee rises up, goes towards the elbow, reaches back, over to the big toe, over to the little toe, and up. So the idea here, according to Chris Holmes from Kripalu, is that we are twisting that foot in the rotation of the connective tissue that comes down towards that foot from the hip. Other side, knee lifts up, comes towards elbow. Foot reaches back, come over to the big toe side, and then over to the little toe side. Come back up through hydrant, reach back, cross over onto the big toe side and little toe side. One more time, coming up to elbow and back, cross over to big toe side and little toe side. and come up. Let's stretch back. Hands come forward, hips comes to heels. Feel the connective tissue from within you. Are you feeling that, that connective tissue coming looser, ungluing? Then we're going to come up onto knees. However, if you don't want to be on knees, you can completely be standing for this as well. It works equally well either way. For this, we're bringing our hands back onto our sacrum, fingers down, elbows comes towards each other, and shoulder blades squeeze together a bit. Lifting up through the body. One hand reaches up, reach up through the little finger. Eyes go towards the index finger, reaching up towards the ceiling. In the back, the other hand comes down across the buttocks, down towards the knee crease, just as far down the back of the thigh as feels comfortable. And then both come up through the waist area. Other arm reaches up through little finger, eyes on the index finger, hand comes down the back thigh, and then back through center. And I'll do a couple standing up to show that this also works just as well. Reaching up, reaching down the back of the thigh. Let your mind's eye come to your stream of connective tissue. How do you feel that connective tissue in a long, continuous web from little finger down through arm, down through the body, across the back, down the other arm and the thigh? At your own pace, pausing, enjoying the new direction that your river is taking. Each yoga movement carving a new direction for the river. And come back through center. Come for a moment, bringing hand onto chest and hand onto belly. Just breathing for a moment. Kathleen Moore writes, our work, the work of every person who loves this world, is to make one small deflection in complacency, and a blockage to business as usual, to change the energy of the flood, destroying the stability of the climate. We make small changes in our complacency and our business as usual, both in our bodies and in our minds. We're going to come down into a prone position. Again, this can be done on the back of a chair, but we're going to do cobra. So on the mat, we're going to have the ribs and belly against the mat, and we'll be lifting up. If you have a wall, this works very well against a wall. So I can't show you because I can't turn the wall, but I have my middle part, my lower ribs and my stomach against the wall. And then I'm allowing that allows me to have some opening through my chest. And you can bring one foot back or the other foot back as you do this. So either you're against a wall or you're down prone on the mat. Bring the hands under the shoulders. On the mat, I'm touching the mat from the lower ribs down through the quads, down to the front of the feet. Your feet are a bit back from the wall if you're on the wall. Lifting from the lower ribs up through the roof of the mouth. Emphasizing the length here rather than the height. We don't need to come up a long way. We're just coming forward long through the tiptoes, long from the lower ribs up through the roof of the mouth. Inhale, enjoy that breath coming into the lower sides and backs of the ribs. So the back breathing is important here. And then exhaling, knitting together in the front low ribs and the shoulder blades coming in and down. One more breath here. Swelling in the diaphragm. Exhaling, knitting together in front and back. Then bring arms along the side, lift feet, and if you're by the wall, you might lift one foot, maintaining that same breathing in the back and exhaling, knitting things together, shoulder blades coming together and down for 3, 2, and 1, and bring it down. Now we're going to come up into a downward dog, pushing up through hands, tucking toes, hips rise, and weight comes back over the feet. If you're doing this on the chair, bring the hands to the back of the chair, feet back up. Bring the feet underneath the hips as far back as they go. And whether you're on the mat or on the chair, you can feel a long connective web of connective tissue going from the feet up the backs of the legs, around the buttocks, up through the muscles along the spine, all the connective tissue wrapping. And although they wrap each of these separately, they also, the connective tissue connects to itself. So it's a river, even though it is around a muscle, around a tendon, it is continuous up through your arms and your hands. Let's come into a plank. Knees can be down or up, either way. Some tightness through the belly as we come into plank for 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down slightly and then up once again into downward dog. Whether on the chair or on the mat, bring one foot underneath the hips and raise the other foot in the back. And it might be a slight raise or it might be higher. Find your place here. Bring it down. Change feet. Other foot rises up. Bring it down. Find your place, your version of this. And then change your feet once again. One foot comes up. And then we're going to bend it in underneath the body and send it out. Bring it in and send it out. One last time. Bring that foot down, change feet. I'll come up to the chair to show this one. So I'm in downward dog. Other foot is coming up and back. And then we're going to bring it up and bend in and up and bend in. Rather than up, I should be saying out, out in the back if you're on the chair. And bring it down. Now we're going to come into gate pose. Gate pose can be done in 2 ways. It can be done on your knees, if you would like, with one leg out to the side and we'll be coming over. Or it can be done standing with one leg out and coming over. The second part is if we're down, we come over and then we bring the hand down and one hand lifts up and the leg lifts up. So if you are doing this standing, you want to be near a chair or a table so your foot comes out so you can do the overhead side bend, and then on a table or a chair, allowing your energy to come out through your arm and your leg. So finding your place, standing or on the knee, hand on the thigh, arm reaches up, keep the shoulder blades relaxed down the back, strong through the belly, opening through the connective tissue on the side as hand floats down the leg. Other hand comes down. Arm and leg rise up just to the extent that is comfortable for you. Strong through the belly as you bring yourself back up and over. Then you might soften the gaze. Let your attention come inside the body. Feel that those slight ungluing, flowing motions that are happening in the connective tissue. As you invite the body, this webbing, this continuous webbing of connective tissue to flow freely. One last time, over and come back through center. Come out onto the other side, whether you're standing or kneeling, floating down the leg, other arm coming up and over. Maybe pausing a minute to enjoy that ungluing that happens, particularly with the first one over. As it swirls around snags, the current will slow and eddy in new directions. So we are slowing and eddying in new directions, creating new structures that change its course forever. And we can change our course. It takes months, it takes years, but we can change it. And coming back in. And bring the knees together. We're going to come to a standing position now for everyone. Come into mountain pose. Aligning the feet, bringing the weight into the middle to outer heels and across to the mounds of the big toe and the first two toes, as well as into the toes. The arches are lifted a bit and right, so the knees are right over the ankles, bringing the energy up through the body, knitting together the inner hip bones or the inner thighs, moving back, and the sits bones moving forward a bit. So there's a movement coming together here, just slightly knitting together the hips, lifting up through the body, through the torso, tucking the chin a bit, long through the back of the neck. No loading in the lower back because we're lifting up now. Inhale, big through the lower ribs and upper ribs. Exhale, knitting together, lower ribs down a bit and shoulder blades together and down the back. Bring the upper arms along the upper part of the body, elbows bent. Squeeze shoulder blades towards spine. So my only motion here is squeezing the shoulder blades towards the spine. And that is allowing my hands to move. For 2 and 1. Bring hands back behind. Fingers are going down on the sacrum. Maintain the same connection through the feet, right in the arches, little knitting together in the hips. Shoulder blades come together in the back and elbows come together a bit, opening up from the pelvis, that front line of connective tissue up towards the collarbone, opening. Bend the knees, hips come back, reaching to the back, arms come forward, palms coming towards each other, finding your place as you go between a slight back bend, opening up the front line of connective tissue, that long river up the legs, across the front of the torso, up into the neck, and then coming down into whatever level of chair works for you. And one more time. And come back up. Now we're going to come into a high lunge. So one foot comes forward and one foot stays back. The front knee is slightly bent over that front ankle. Make sure that the hips are aligned between 9 and 3 horizontally. Now bring the arms out. So my arms are out like this. And I'm, again, taking a few turns with the wrist on each side. Then I'm flipping the palms. So first they're forward and then they're back. I'll face you here. And then they're forward, then they're back. Keep them back And then bend the elbows and bring the fingers towards the waist. Very slow movement, easy on shoulders here. Adjusting as you need to, modify if you need to. This is an exercise from Holmes and is designed to bring the shoulder blades together, but also open up here in the corners, front corners of the shoulders. Hands might come back behind the waist, and you might stay there for a moment, allowing those front shoulder corners to open a bit. And we'll do it one more time. And come back out. And bring the arms down. Bring the feet together. Take a breath. Bring the other foot back. We can see there's a little space in between my legs here. Toes are more or less all forward here. I have a bend in my front knee. Arms come out to the side. Let the palms face the walls for a moment. Feeling that unsticking of the river of connective tissue coming around little by little, changing the course of our connective tissue. And then we're going to flip the palms forward, flip the palms back, forward, back. And you'll notice there's an internal and external rotation of the shoulders that occurs as we do this. Let the palms be back. Bring the fingers in towards the waist slowly. Pause a moment. Bring them out. And in. And stop when you need to. You might bring hands behind the waist, pausing for a moment, letting the shoulders rest down. Shoulder blades in, not particularly squeezing together here. And some opening in the front of the shoulders. And bring the hands down. Bring the feet together. We're going to do a quad stretch now. One way to do a quad stretch is to do it on a chair. So it can be hard to bring your foot up. It can be hard for knees and hips to bring the foot up completely. So what I'm going to suggest here is that you have a chair and you rest the foot on the very edge of the chair, letting the other foot be the foundation leg. You might want to have a wall beside you, or you might want to challenge yourself completely by staying off the wall, or by just having that wall that every once in a while you touch. And you can feel the wobble in your foot. You can feel the foot coming back to the center to outer heel, and that diagonal weight bearing across to the mounds of the big toe and the first three toes, the big and the first and second toe. Second, third toe. And then let's try it on the other side. You don't have to move your chair, or you might have to move mine. Bringing the foot up. And this gives a nice stretch of connective tissue through the front of the quad. The alternative here would be to take the foot or ankle or part of your clothes in your hand, and you might have a wall or a chair on the side, and the knee is coming down towards the earth. But knees are tricky, and they carry lots of experience with them, so that might not be accessible. Relaxing down, feeling that unsticking happening along the front of the hip and the front of the quad. And bring the foot down. Let's bring the chair to one side, and we'll do one more balance here. Rest your hand just lightly on the chair, letting the leg near the chair be your foundation leg, centered into the foot, center to outer heel and over to the first three toes, arch lifted, dynamic thigh muscles here. Then let this hand come up as the knee rises up, and both come out together and down. Let the knee come in, the hand come in, come across, and down. So the hand is kind of like the hand of a marionette, as if there's a piece of string between the hand and the knee coming around. Draw in on this leg. Make sure your hip isn't flaring out. Be very light on the chair, maybe coming up now and then. Challenging your balance, letting yourself wobble on that foot a bit, knowing you can always catch yourself on this chair. And one more time, drawing up through the foundation leg, up through the shoulder. That gives you strength. And we'll try the other side on that. You can always just turn around yourself. First, think about your foundation leg. Bringing the centered, balanced, right arch, knee over ankle, hip over knee, then lifting up with hand and knee and coming around. Let knee and hand come in a bit, over, out, and down. Take the weight into that foundation leg to the extent you can. The knee is soft but firm. Hand might come up and down a little bit from the chair, inviting the body to be strong, to lift up through this foundation side in order to support the other side. No flaring out of this hip here. 2 more times, up and over. Feeling the wobble in your foot. That's okay. You're safe. You can catch yourself on this chair. And coming down. Good job. Good effort, everyone. Let's end here with a warrior 2. Bringing one foot forward and the other one directly behind. Arranging toes where you need to. Toes might have to come out a little bit to accommodate knees. Opening through the chest and opening out. Gaze goes out over fingers. Flip the palms, let the shoulder blades come down the back, and then flip them back. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Plug in to the earth's energies that come up into your legs, up through your groin, through your torso. The energy comes into your heart and blossoms out through your arms, through your fingertips, out into the world. You might also feel the energy of the world coming back through your fingertips, through your arms, into your heart, returning down your body into earth. And bring the hands back. And one more time on the other side. A narrower stance is fine, or a broader stance. Opening up, turning, stretching out from collarbone, that river of connective tissue out each arm, out to each fingertip. Feel your toes on the earth, the mounds of your toes, the heels. Energy coming up through the arches, up through the legs, through pelvis, up through waist, shoulder blades, up through collarbone, into the mouth and the eyes. That channel of energy coming through you, always connected to the earth, always reaching out into the world, carving new directions within and without. And bring it down. Let's lie down for the last few minutes here. Or if it feels better to sit down in the chair, that's fine too. And we'll just relax for about 2 minutes. A little body scan. Feeling the heart beating. Your aliveness against the aliveness of the earth. Then running down your river through the connective tissue along the ribs, around all the organs,
down through the muscles and connective tissue of the thighs, the knee capsules, the bones and muscles of the calf and shin, the ankle joint capsule, the arches of the feet, out around the nerves and muscles and bones of each of the toes. Bringing that feeling of the toes, connective tissue up into the fingers, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, all connected to that web of connective tissue over the palm and the back of the hand, up the front and back side of the arm, around the elbow joint capsule, the upper arm, all the many ligaments and tendons of the shoulder, across the shoulders to the back of the neck. The river running smoothly up the back of the neck and the back of the skull, to the crown of the head, across the forehead, down the nose, cheeks, lips, tongue, and back to the heart. 2 more breaths here. Feel free to stay here if you would like. If you're coming back into your day, roll wrists and ankles. Give your knees a hug. Any intention you'd like to bring from your yoga practice into your life today as you stream back. And then rolling over, we'll come up to a sitting position. We'll just end with a simple Om today, bringing us together over the miles, all of us in this world of rivers. Inhale. Namaste. Good to practice with you. Stay gentle today. Enjoy your river.